Hello everyone, if you're watching this, you have likely either applied to Western Engineering or planning to go there in the future. I've just finished my first year and I have so much to share with you all, so this video is just going over me answering some commonly asked questions about Western Engineering and doing my best to answer them. So the first question I want to address is engineering at Western difficult? And I guess the short answer would be yes. Engineering is typically going to have one of the highest workloads at any university you go to. And the averages for these courses typically are on the lower end, between 65 to 72%, and usually a certain amount of students fail per class. So yes, it can be pretty difficult for the first year for many people. What the long answer is, and this is the part I want to emphasize, is that it really depends on you. So if you've come from an AP, IB, or really challenging high school, then the transition can be a bit easier, especially for subjects like physics, calculus, and chemistry, where the content can be mainly a review for a lot of these students who've come from these more difficult programs in high school, and thus the transition doesn't have to be as bad for you. However, that's not to say that if you didn't come from one of these programs in high school, that first year engineering will be really difficult. You can do just as well, if not better, than those students who did come from those programs. And if you did come from one of those programs, you can still do poorly in some of the engineering courses. In my opinion, I honestly believe that if you just stick with the program through first year and you put in a little bit of effort, you'll get through the program. Also, in my opinion, there's a lot of courses where you can do really well and help your average out. So courses like linear algebra, programming, and engineering design are three courses that I think skew to be on the higher end of averages in first year. And there's a lot of opportunities in those courses where if you just put in the effort, if you go to class, you can get a really high average in those courses just by doing those simple things. So definitely, if you're really, if you're going to first year and you're really concerned about having a really high average, then there are ways to still obtain that. And if you do badly in one course, it doesn't mean that your average will immediately tank. Like, I honestly think that your average honestly really evens out, even if you have a couple bad courses. So this is a question that I had in high school, and it kind of sounds similar to the first question, so I'll try to differentiate it. Why is engineering so hard? And I guess the best way to address that is, I don't think for the most part that the content itself is where the difficulty lies. I think the biggest problem for a lot of students, and at least for me, was just how much content there is to cover in a short period of time. And especially in first year, I think there's a lot of excitement. You want to make new friends, you want to experience the social atmosphere of university. And because of that, and also just like transitioning to having 7 courses and wanting to attend classes for all these courses, it can get a little bit overwhelming. And oftentimes you'll find yourself at the end of the day being extremely exhausted, and just doing like the bare minimum of assignments to just stay on track on the course will not be enough. Like, you'll still feel like you're behind for a lot of courses, and that can be really scary. I think there was a period in the year where I was messaging my soft being like, I haven't done any physics homework this entire semester and the midterm's coming up in 2 weeks. And that will happen a lot during the first year. However, I think what engineering really teaches you, and what's really important, is that there's ways to still study for a course and succeed in a course by just studying effectively within a short period of time. And that's a skill you're going to have to learn on your own. So the next question is, how are the people like in Western Engineering? So I think it is a lot less competitive, at least based on the stereotypes you hear of each of the universities. They really emphasize especially in the first week, that like engineering is a team sport. And I think that is extremely valid, and you'll quickly realize why that's true, especially as you go throughout the year. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to make a good group of friends. So with the exception of like maybe a few times in the year where you might feel like, oh wow, like I met like a student who's like really toxic in the program, I think it's a really great environment, especially for an engineering program, which is known to be a little bit more toxic compared to other programs at university. I think it's actually incredibly welcoming. And I think it's like, obviously I'm a little bit biased, I think it's like the most fun faculty at Western in regards to just like how much of a community can be. So the next thing I want to address is internships and co-op opportunities at Western Engineering. And this is like the biggest thing I want to emphasize, especially if you're a student who hasn't decided on an engineering program. Western has a really bad co-op system for engineering specifically. Yes, you can find maybe a job through the career portal. It's not like it's unheard of. It's not like it's impossible. But compared to other universities like U of T and Waterloo, the opportunities listed on their co-op portal are significantly worse. The vast majority of the postings on the co-op portal are legit just like links to go to the company website to apply for an internship, which means like you're not getting any benefit by going through the portal anyways. It's just like an aggregate. You might as well just use Indeed at that point. Also, in addition, like Western's not really known for engineering. I'm just going to put that out there. So it can be a little bit harder, I think, to find certain internships just because companies might not necessarily be looking for you. And I think that was like the biggest challenge. And I think the biggest con with the program in my first year was that I was really adamant on finding an internship. And luckily I did. However, that was of no benefit due to Western. The last question that I want to answer is generally, how was my first year? Did I like it? I would say I did. I think I really enjoyed first year engineering. I think a lot of that can be just attributed to just university itself. I think whatever university you'll end up going to, you'll enjoy it. I think university itself offers a lot of freedom and independence that you don't normally get previously in your life. Other complaints with the university that I would mention is that I think some courses within Western engineering are not taught in the best manner. And hopefully they're improved for like the following year. However, there are definitely some courses that I didn't really enjoy, and some professors that I wouldn't say were like the best at teaching the material. However, there was plenty of courses where I thought the material was taught in a really effective manner. The professors were really engaged with the class, and it was just a really enjoyable experience. So those are all things I would mention. And the last quick thing I want to mention is I know a lot of my answers are based on my own personal experience, and because I want this video to be as informative as possible, I also included some clips of like two of my friends answering some of these questions as well, just like what they liked, if they liked their first year, and if they found engineering to be difficult, because I find those are like the two most common questions first years have. Just like hear and learn about their perspectives in the following clips.
First question, did you enjoy engineering, first year engineering at Western? I really enjoyed my first year at Western. It was a fun experience. I lived on campus, so I was able to meet a lot of people, and that's one of the benefits I'd say of attending Western, is because the community is so open. You are more likely to meet a lot of people, not just even your first year, but just upper years in general. They would like to they like to host a lot of events, especially during the first couple of weeks, which I think is a good idea because you tend to just meet a lot of people, not even in your program, like not just engineering, but in different programs such as health sci or math, many programs, or even business. So that's a good thing I really liked about first year, is the ability to meet a lot of people. The campus is also very beautiful. That's another. There's always so many places you could go and study, and just libraries or just common areas where you can meet people, but like just a common private study areas, which is something I really liked. And the profs are very great. They're all very helpful, and if you ever need help, they're willing to help you answer your questions, and even stays after some lectures to help you out and just solve questions that you encounter.
Hey everyone, my name is Masumi, and I just finished first year engineering at Western University. To try and get involved as well. Now, first year engineering, it's hard and the academics are very rigorous as well, but it's also important that you try to get out there socially and try to maintain your work-life balance as well. Now, just have it be watching a movie with your friends, or going on a walk, or even meeting new individuals through joining various clubs. Like, all of these opportunities are crucial to help you get through your first year. And finally, my last tip that I would like to share is try and network with as many people as possible, as they'll provide you connections with almost anything and help you with various different aspects in life. Now, for example, I was able to get my internship this summer because of a connection that I made last year through joining different clubs.
So first year engineering is general, so you tend to do a lot more courses that other programs might not do, and you also do courses that you might not be interested in. For example, I want to go into software, so you still had to do courses such as chemistry or physics or statics, which I wasn't a big fan of because I didn't really like that field. But then you also do a course that actually is in your field. For example, like we did programming, calculus, and linear algebra, and those courses I tend to find a little bit of ease in because I was able to understand it much quicker and able to do the work. However, like the other courses I've mentioned, they were quite for me they were quite difficult because I'd always had a little bit a struggle for understanding it. Another thing, engineering is a very team sport. If you do slack behind or just fall behind, not keep up with your work, it will become significantly difficult. I know many kids who wouldn't attend the lectures and end up cram studying like the day before exams, and at the end it wasn't a good idea for them. So it's something you want to keep up, like especially all these other courses might have like 5 classes a day or like just 5 classes in general, whereas engineering has 7 classes and have no breaks. So majority of the kids will have 5 to 6 classes every single day, and it can be a lot. So it is something you want to keep up with and not fall behind. Another thing is engineering is a team sport, so you shouldn't hesitate to ask people for help. That's something I learned, that we especially when it comes to assignments or projects or any big massive quizzes or anything, we tend to work together as a group because it helps you learn, and it's something it cannot be done alone because a lot of the content can be difficult. So it's always beneficial to work in the group and get things done. And it's more efficient, and some people tend to learn more from it. So those were my experience at first year engineering, and yeah, good luck.
Now, I can say this year was a bit tough, but I'm just here to share my experiences and some tips and tricks that I have as well from my first year experience. So throughout the year, there were times when I thought it was a bit tough, like the coursework itself, but at the end of the day, it's very rewarding, the things that you do. And sure, it's hard, and sure, you get stressed throughout the year, but you can always count on your friends and family to help support you. And that brings me to my first tip. First of all, you need to make a group and a friend group that's able to support you throughout your entire journey. Now, engineering, I would like to call it as a team sport. And this means that everyone's very collaborative. You have to rely on each other and lean on each other to actually get through it. It's a very difficult program. That's why having this type of support system really helps. So overall, those are my tips for all of you, and I hope everyone who is interested in going into engineering, whether it be at Western or at any other programs, use this advice and try to maximize it as well so you too can be successful and have a good time. Thank you.